Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the #1 YouTube channel in the world when it comes to diesel mopeds, I think. I just made a video about this a couple of days ago, trying to alter the mixture slightly. Today I'm going to try this with some different kind of fuel, but I also want to talk a little bit about this engine before I do that, because I realized from the previous video that it's not all of you who knows the entire story of this engine. I got a lot of comments about the compression probably being low, that I needed to change piston rings and so on. So just to recap, I have had this engine completely apart, changed all bearings and so on in it. I changed the piston for a brand new piston rings, and I'm not an engine rebuild expert, but everything seems fine. So that part of it should be good. The compression, if the compression is low, it is not because of worn out piston rings, but it is supposed to run in, of course. And on an engine like this, I think you should expect quite a lot of kilometers before the piston rings are actually worn into the sleeve, making the compression optimal. It's a little bit difficult to run in an engine that doesn't really want to run. So, of course, I presume it will just become better and better and better. Another comment I got in the previous video was that the compression was too low and therefore it wouldn't run right. But the thing is, in that video I was running at medium compression, because the party piece about this engine, and I didn't really mention that in the previous video, is that the compression is variable. This handlebar up here varies the compression by actually pushing and pulling on the sleeve. So when I was running it last time, I was running in the middle, which means I had a lot of compression to go to if I wanted, but it wouldn't run up there. It would just start to pre-detonate, and that's not good for the engine. So it's about finding the sweet spot. And the other thing is this down here. It's a dripper, it's not a carburetor. The adjustment I did on the previous video is the amount of air and fuel going into this engine. There's no fuel pressure or anything. It's not a normal diesel engine. It just drips the fuel into the crank casing, just like on a regular gasoline two-stroke engine. But what I want to do today is to try another fuel, and you can maybe see that it's already in the system. There's a lot of speculation about fuel for the Lohmann, but it's supposed to be able to run on lamp oil and diesel oil and so on. But the problem is that the quality of those kinds of oils has changed quite dramatically through the years, and therefore you can't really expect it to perform as it did like 40 years ago. But I have had a lot of comments about this engine being very similar to radio-controlled airplane engines, the small 2.5 cc's engines, which is also self-detonating compression engines. They are apparently running on some different kind of mixtures, but one of the mixtures that I hear very often mentioned is ether, kerosene, and castor oil, and a little bit of booster, cetane booster I think it's called. And this is what I'm going to try today. I'm going to use around 1/3 of castor oil, not ether, because that's not really possible to get in my country. I have been Googling it a lot, and after that I'm pretty sure that the police would keep an extra eye on me, but I couldn't find anything. But starter fluid apparently got quite a lot of ether in it, and could be used as a substitute. So it's castor oil, starter fluid, and kerosene, a clean kind of kerosene, and then a little bit of that cetane booster. And now it's time to try to see if that works. It should be easier to start, so I'm going to try to start it without even preheating it. With the other fuels that I was running, it was impossible to get it to run unless I used a torch to heat up the cylinder. Let's try without. Hopefully it will be a little bit better. I'm not expecting this to be a powerful moped. I'm not expecting it to be anything else than pretty much a bicycle with a helping engine, because this is 18 cc. It's a very, very, very tiny engine. Let's go for a ride and see if it's better. Compression is adjusted here, and this is the dripper. Oh yeah, it's starting. Wow. Started really easy. It is running on high compression though. It is actually running. It's getting better now. I'm actually going uphill, so I'm still using the bike part of it. Oh, it's difficult to find the correct mixture. Oh, that seems pretty nice. It's actually pulling me up a hill right now. Very unstable though. Whoa! Okay, so this might not look impressive, but this is actually going uphill. And I'm almost not having to bike. But it's a massive power improvement from the other fuel, that's for sure. Don't think much more than this is to be expected, to be honest. I'm trying to find a flat piece of road, which is a bit difficult where I live. Oh, that's a sweet spot. All about finding the sweet spot between the dripper and the compression over there. Currently we are in the middle in the compression range and almost full power on the throttle. I have to bike a little bit. It's not steep, but it's a Velo Solex will also struggle a little bit on this. It's not smoking very much either. It's like a 2-stroke currently. Looks way better. But as you can maybe hear, sometimes it's misfiring. It's because I let the compression go too low. So now we are on a straight road, by the way. Let's see. I don't really know what kind of speed we're talking about right now, but I would say 15 kilometers per hour. And I'm impressed, to be honest. I'm really impressed. If you listen closely, I don't know how it picks up. The engine is like whoa, 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 whoa. And I think that is down to bad alignment. So the tire maybe is not completely centered. So it applies more pressure against the driven wheel on the engine. It's varied, if that makes sense. And it will probably cost quite a lot of power. So small adjustment, tire pressure, adjustments of the bearings and so on would probably give me a little bit more speed. It's the small details on a thing like this. But that row sound is definitely something that should be fixed. Whoa, it's going downhill, woohoo! So this is so far this is really a success. This fuel is at least double the power comparing it to the other one I was running, which was just 2-stroke oil and kerosene and cetane booster. The eater thing, the starter fluid is really making a huge difference on this one. Okay, so that was honestly a pretty amazing result. It has gone from being a fun relic to actually being a useful moped that I can take on a trip for fun. It would be best to do it alone or with another one, with a Lohmann or someone walking maybe, but it can actually go places by its own steam, which is pretty amazing. And it's all about the fuel, and I wonder what's possible with this one, because I'd say I have doubled the power going from two-stroke oil, kerosene and cetane booster to this mix, which is 1 castor oil to 1 starter fluid to 1 kerosene with cetane booster, just a little bit. That has doubled the power. Maybe more power is possible, but I doubt it, to be honest. It is 18 cc. It's a tiny, tiny engine. I don't expect it to be much more powerful than this. But this is pretty amazing and a big result for this relic from the past. I wonder what would have been possible to do if this kind of engine had been developed further for personal transportation. Anyway, thanks for watching. I think I'm gonna try to make this mix and try it out on my other Lohmann. Some of you might remember that I actually got 2 of these, but not exactly the same. They did change some stuff. And the other one I have got a different kind of compression system than this one. So it could be fun to try this kind of fuel on that one. So stay tuned for more Lohmann Diesel content in the future, because it's a lot of fun. Remember, you can support me on Patreon. There's a link down below that makes it possible for me to make these videos. So please consider becoming one. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. I'm gonna go for another ride on this one because it's just way too much fun.